I'm Terri Murphy, Senior Editor for Realty Times, Women in Business, Women in Real Estate in the Men's Room with Murph. And today with the Women's Wisdom Network, we have the amazing Viki King. And we're going to talk to you about her book, Be the Hero of Your Own Life. And one of the things I know about Viki is that the brilliance of how she wrote this book is going to astound you because she talks about the passages of life. Now, Viki has also read the iconic How to Write a Movie in 21 Days, Beyond Visualization, which is now Beyond Feelization, Healing the Hollywood Heart, and she is a sought-after consultant in the industry to this day. What she did, and I've known her for a while, and I must tell you, I've learned more about her from this book than she's ever shared with me, and I know her. So you are going to love this incredible opportunity to meet my best friend, Viki King. Viki, welcome.
Thank you, my best friend, Terri Murphy.
BFFs forever, and we couldn't be more opposite.
Opposite. But we're from Chicago, so how opposite is
We're
that?
from Chicago, and she's the sun goddess, and I wear concrete for sunblock. We met so serendipitously, is that a good word? At Daniel Kennedy's event, which is a real estate event, which you have nothing to do with real estate. You were in the front row, and you sat next to us, and I think back to that, and I go, how painful was that for you to hear speaker after speaker after speaker about sales when you are this amazing woman who had a completely different career? Viki, when you asked me, remember when you said, oh, working on my book, I'm working on my book. And I think, as an author, I've published several times, I thought, how long do you work on a book? You for how many years?
I worked on my book my whole life because it's an autobiography. And autobiography means you got to live the life.
And when you said to me, being the marketer and the naive person I am, you said, well, I'm writing my autobiography. I go, well, I love you and I would love that, but what about the other gajillion people on the planet? Do you think they want to read it?
Yes,
And
because it's not about me, it's about
that's
them.
right. So that's the thing. And I'm a writer, but not compared to how you put this together. How to be the hero. It starts before birth, ends after life, and addresses the ages in between. And the brilliance of how you set this up is by passages. So each decade is a passage, kind of.
Yes, then each chapter is an age, from when you're
20,
zero
well, from zero
to 80.
Yeah. And so as a writer, tell me how, first of all, I think people would want to know, how would you know, since you've never met them and they've never met you, the brilliance of each of the passages speaks to each of us in our own DNA. Tell us, how did that happen in your head?
How it happens in my head is that no matter how different we are from each other, and we all hit various passages at each individual time. And so then when somebody is reading about me being 6 years old and dealing with a bully, then they have another experience. Maybe they are the bully, or maybe they're not dealing with a bully, or maybe they deal with a bully entirely differently than I did. So that when they read my passage, they can reflect on their own, like, oh, I know that always bothered me that I didn't, stand up to the bully. But maybe I could change that. Maybe I could tell a different story to myself about that. Well, I was really scared, but I did stop the bully. Oh yeah, look at that. And then they have a whole new story that illuminates for them where they are now, what's going on for them now with their boss, when they're 50 years old.
That was the thing that even at 2 years old, when you talked about, well, so let me just help them with, you go into passages that are specific, 9 years and 3 months.
Yes.
Yeah, 6 years and almost 7.
Mhm.
And so you had to collect the content in a way that helped support you writing the book, which of course has taken many, many years. The thing that I think I want people to know about, and you won't want to talk a whole lot about, but I think it speaks to the relevance of your journey. All of us have a journey. Your journey is so exceptional based on the timing and the times, that like you said, you started in Chicago, you went to Hollywood, which is the friendliest place on earth. And then you get positions that no woman has ever had. And because this is women supporting women, would you just tell us about one of those instances? I know which one I would pick, but where you were the first woman, it, trailblazing the space for women and talent and acceptance and value.
I think that in yourself, if you don't stop yourself because you're a woman, then you're not stopped. It's that simple. And
Well,
I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm not saying that, they don't give you pushback, these boys. But, whatever it is that you want to do, go ahead and do that.
would you be
And I
comfortable?
would say because of what I did and the few women that were in Hollywood at that time doing the behind the scenes work, if it weren't for how we did, then it couldn't be the next generation of how they could do. And that's a beautiful
Well,
thing, when you get to see that.
Well, I think that's one of the hidden jewels, I'll call it a jewel in the book, because you cite occasions where you really had to navigate that bias, being a woman, and it's not like you're a great big woman. I mean, here's this little French thing with hair, and you just did some extraordinary work, and you throw names in this book, and people have got there. It's jaw dropping. Johnny Carson and Norman Lear, and all the things behind this dream that you had, with the tenacity of making it happen, the focus, the purpose of making it happen, and it's so admirable. But what was your intention for other people reading it, what women or men, with profiling that thread of focusing on what you want and getting what you want?
But that was the intention. Focus on what you want, get what you want. Here, I'll show you. Here's an idea for you. Maybe you could, introduce that to your belief system and say, well, maybe I could do that thing that I really, really, really want to do, but I thought I couldn't do because you're not supposed to, because you're a woman or whatever the thing, the limitation is.
So, okay, we can all, it's sort of like if you read a book about how to be a writer, how to do a home run is not going to make you, a home runner. And yet in this book, you open up the opportunity to discover, and you say that in the opening, you said, we're all born fully realized, we just don't realize it. So there's a part of your brain that says, this is your journey, allow it. Do you have any insights on how people can allow when they keep telling themselves, like you just said, the story, that's not me, it's too hard, I'm a woman, I'm too short, I'm too this, I'm not, whatever. What do you think? I mean, it's not like you came from a supportive family. It's not like you came from a trust fund that allowed you to do
Trust
that.
fund.
Yeah. Well, you and I talk about that. No.
No, no, no. You need if you want a taco, then get in the couch and find some change and get a taco and eat. That's more the trust fund that we had.
So again, if you're listening to this, the purpose of the network, for me, my intention was to shine a light on those spots in life where you might be and get the wisdom and the support from somebody who's already been there. I mean, wouldn't it be nice to have a blueprint going, don't turn right because it's a dead end, go left. And at 32 years old, you talk about from surviving to thriving on how to live beyond your pathology. What did you mean when you said that?
Well, if you notice when you meet somebody, they will lead with their pathology. In other words, they will say immediately um, what their belief system is that's crippling them. oh, hello, how do you do? My mother is oppressive to me or something. I mean, they come right out and give you the exact pathology. Just watch
Ah.
this. See, you'll notice that this happens. And that's where you want to overcome yourself. And people will go to all lengths to do that. Now, a lot of people go to Hollywood because it's a huge brick wall and you can hit your head, endlessly on the brick wall. There are other things like real estate's difficult field. There's all kinds of fields that people can go into as a metaphor for breaking through the problem that they have in their life. And so that's the use of going from surviving to thriving. What in early on, we're really, really good at survival tools because if we weren't, we wouldn't survive. So anybody who becomes an adult means they were really good at surviving. So they're so good at surviving, they want to keep using the tools of survival, meaning that they have to keep setting up a situation where they have to survive. That doesn't do it. You have to put down your surviving tools. I'm good at those, but I trust that I'm going to let those go now and pick up thriving tools. You don't even know what those are yet. As the example I have in the book was Jimmy, an adult named Jimmy. You get the idea that he's stuck in being a kid. And he had a very difficult life as a child. And so he learned survival tools. In other words, when he was hungry, there was no food in the house, he would run down the street because his aunt and uncle lived there. And he would sometimes sleep on their couch. Very good survival tools for a 8-year-old. But now he's an adult and he can make different choices, like, for instance, get a job. And so then he has to change up to thriving. Like, oh my gosh, Jimmy, you can be called James or Jim and be an adult and get a job and get your own food and be able to sleep in your own apartment.
So that explains, so often we keep doing the same thing and we keep getting the same results. And so what I'm hearing you say, and I picked 30 because that's kind of a pivotal moment.
Mhm.
You're kind of through the kid thing and then you're a reasonably young adult. And that's when the story scripting has to go from survive to thrive.
Right.
I think because we
Because
are
you
what
can.
because you
Because
can.
because you
Yeah.
can. Yeah.
Is there any one decade or passage that um, if you were going to say to someone, uh, this is just was one of my favorites to write, or this was one of the most pivotal point, because you have so much. I mean, you traveled internationally. For me, your bravery was incredible. You were so
Yeah. Yeah.
fearless
Yeah.
and brave. Oh, I'll go. I'm going to go to Greece. Oh, I'm going to. I was like, that's a long way away, right?
Well, I purposely picked Greece to go all the way around the globe without coming back in the other direction. So I landed on Greece.
See what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying about her? I was like, oh my God. Yeah, but I mean, you pay such, well, let me rephrase that. The in tuneness that you have with your own uh, life force, it was what made you exceptional at writing, at, at doing the things that you've done and helping people. And to this day, you still do. Could you run through the kind of career you had that gave you this extraordinary insight into uh, how these lessons apply to each one of us? I mean, I know you started off as writing.
Yes. So I always was going to write this book, and I was writing this book all along my life. Excuse me. And then after high school, you think, okay, now, where, what, do I go backpacking, through Europe or on the outback in Australia or college or what? So I thought, well, if I went to broadcast college, then I would understand some way to bring forth the content. My whole thing all my life is Archimedes, a place to stand and a lever long enough and you can lift the world. So where was my place to stand? Where was the lever long enough? And the lever long enough for me was always emotional content for people. Always wherever they're stuck or wherever their heart is breaking, you can go right there and make clarity for them. You can, just break it wide open and illuminate something for somebody. That's a beautiful thing, and that's what I always do, and that's what I always love to do. And so then I thought, well, then broadcast school might do it, which I did. I went there, and then I flipped a coin after college. Well, New York or Los Angeles. Los Angeles won or lost, as you might think. And I went there, and as you were intimating to talk to about before, was that's when I got the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson as a camera person, as a engineer on that show. And that was great because I could eat. I was happy to do that. And that was during a strike of writers because you can't go soliciting work for writing. So then that's what I was doing there. And then when that was over, then there was a strike for crew, and then I went back to soliciting for writing. So that's Hollywood for you. You have to balance.
Well, you couldn't have picked a tougher career, I don't think, maybe besides, rock climbing or something, but uh, it was your means to share your journey, which shines a light for us on our journey. And
In Hollywood, it's the best and the brightest. You will not find the best and the brightest anywhere else that aren't clumped together like that in enormous creativity and enormous material that they want to impart their art to the world. And it's all, besides show, it's always business. So there's that comes with it. And then you have to make a balance out of that, the show part and the balance and the business part to be able to bring forth your art, your information, your content, your help in the world.
well, without being too personal, I know that what this really there's some enormously emotional and touching places here where your own challenges in life came through. And those of us that had parents or have parents, how your relationship and how that transitioned, and with people that you love and people that you know. It really, for me, it's that beacon that allows you to go look back where you were, see where you want to go. And if you're a younger person, to me, it just gives you this beautiful highway of looking at, because when you're 30, you can't even think about being 50 or 60 for that matter. And when you're 9, you think 30 is almost dead. So it's really an amazing, I would say, directive on how to make a difference, being who you are and what you were sent here to do. And the fact that you knew this so young in life, I mean, was that just divine gift? Or did
Well,
you just wake?
I mean, I think everyone comes in with their plan. They don't know their plan. It's a secret to themselves. But you come in with what's your intention? What's your agenda? What do you have in mind? And for me always was, I'm going to write this book. It's interesting because now friends of mine will say to me, I didn't know that this was the book you were writing. I said, what, the complete people are completely indifferent. That's fine, leave me alone, give me a pencil. I'm happy for 80 years writing this book. But now they're saying, oh, but this was what you were writing. Oh, no wonder it took your whole life because that's what an autobiography is, that you have to live the scenes of your life. Then you
Well,
can.
people acknowledge that. Viki King is a writer for all the ages, all ages, and that was by Ellen Saunders, author and co-producer of Everybody Loves Raymond, which everybody loved Raymond. You've got Diane Scafti, author of Listening to the Oracle.
Yeah.
You've got the producer from Warner Brothers, DreamWorks. I mean, it's not insignificant that a little tiny French girl from Chicago goes to Hollywood and kicks some big time butt but in a way that is not in the physical world, but how you manifested it into, what do I say, digestible? Can I use that word? Digestible, quantified ways for us to look at our life and our ability to accomplish what our journey is and discover what that is. Now, tell us a little bit about the work you're doing now.
Oh, um, you know, we're living in auspicious times now. I'm sure everyone can agree that there's a lot of raggedy bits and rogue endings floating around for all of us in our lives, and we're managing it in new ways. Since COVID, a lot of people that knocked them sideways, and good for what was introspective, what happened with that, what things did you decide, what other ways are you proceeding in life, and then since then, there's some more waves that are coming over everyone, and that's correct. And so then more and more and more, we're having an opportunity to be really fresh around how we're going to go forward, how we're going to manage the life we want to create for ourselves now. And so that's what's going on. And that's the work that I do with everybody and, along the way to make those decisions for themselves.
Well, that means that she's here to help us all, should you decide. First of all, I would recommend highly that you get the book. As you know, I read a lot of books, but this one I couldn't put down. And I sat down with it saying, well, it's just because you know her. But then the discovery in each one of the passages was so strong that you just want to keep going. And it's sort of like eating a chocolate cake in one bite. It's just so good. And so I would encourage everybody to get it. It's How to Be the Hero of Your Own Life by Viki King. And if somebody wanted to contact you for continuing work with you or to have you speak on it or join them in a discussion for a book, what would be the best way to reach you?
Probably my website, vikiking.com.
And that's
B-I-K.
Viki. Yeah, it's special Viki. Viki, for before we sign off, and like I said, your humor in this book, it makes it just so engaging. And uh, even though this is an incredibly comprehensive book, it's just joyful and light in so many ways. What would you tell everyone as we're going through this time in the physical world that is just a little bit, what would you say, challenging?
Well, the scientific word for it is wackadoodle.
That's my Vicky. Okay.
And you notice that everybody is, except of course yourself.
Oh no, I'm a complete whack.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like,
And it's an opportunity, when everything shuffles around and goes upside down. It's a wonderful opportunity to make it right side up as you are choosing what is the way you want it to be right side up and your choices on that. So it's a very powerful, definitive time for everybody to make those creations. Like I was talking to a client yesterday, and she said, "Well, we'll just have to see what happens." I said, "No, you create what happens. You create what happens. What is your choice? What do you want to do? Roll up your sleeves. Let's go." And then that makes you be in the position of your own power. If you want to just, give it away and, just, I don't know what's gonna, well, that's no way to feel. Do you really want to feel that way? That's powerless. That's
yep.
that's that's in no way, shape, or form, including yourself in the vote. So you want to be very decisive about, well, let's see, we've never had, like, for instance, we have the fire that's just been devastating here in Los Angeles, and people are quick to want to rebuild. Um, well, it's not a rebuild, it's a new build. It's
Oh,
an idea of what is the new city? What do we create from here forward? And that's not easy, but that's correct. That's the way that you want to move forward and, have a sustainable place to live in the future.
So you've had pretty much all of that and have had to deal with that, which is a challenges. I mean, there's no doubt that we have challenges, but when you think about it, every challenge, and you just roll your eyes when somebody says, there's always a silver lining, but there is, because it creates a diversion where you have to go into a different direction. And you talk about powerlessness, and that's a mindset, because you empower yourself when there's a challenge that is not what was the new normal. And I
Right.
think that all of your books are like that. I mean, especially Beyond Visualization, which is now Beyond Feelization, correct?
Realization, yeah.
Yeah.
What it is that it's when you read my book, it's the way to view the world with an open heart. It's not positive thinking. It's not, oh, a silver lining, none of that. It's just whatever has happened to me, it's always with an open heart. And when you have an open heart, it doesn't break.
There you go. I mean, that's probably it, because it seems to be that secret to life. When you lead with love, when you lead with an open heart, um, it's a positive force, mostly for you, but then because we're all connected, it goes out into the universe. So I will just tell you that we are all so blessed to be able to have that perspective. You've blazed the trail. It's authentic, it's real, it's engaging, it's funny, it's poignant, and it is a must read, in my opinion. Viki, thank you so much for joining us. And my goal is to be able to put a spotlight in each passage, so that we can be more specific about what your intention was and how we interpret that in our own lives, because that's what it's really about. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm hoping you'll join us again soon.